2 and 1.
It's not only my buttons he pushes. He pushes a bunch of buttons. We've got a camera right in the shot. See, right there. This is our little down shot camera. Hi, everybody. I have been so excited about today's project. I have not done a faux cloisonné piece in quite a while. So I thought it'd be fun to do one today. And it is very mixed media. We're going to have lots of fun stuff to do in this one. There are some really cool stenciling techniques in this one. There are some stamping in here, some color washing. There's loads of techniques in this one. You're going to love it. And then, of course, we have these bright and colorful poppies. I love the colors in this one. It's just fun. So we are going to play with some really cool products today. Some you might have, some you may not. But I'm going to introduce you to a few really cool ones if you haven't done this before. So I'm going to have a ton of information for you today. So keep your notebooks handy so that you can write things down as we say them. I'm going to have a couple of new websites for you. I will spell them out for you so you can write them down. But I think you're really going to enjoy this piece. It is a fun and complex but not difficult piece to paint. So that is our fabulous piece right there. This is cloisonné poppies. It's a fun technique. I love doing this. But before we get to painting that, I have a couple of thank yous I have to put out there. First and foremost, of course, to Linda Safranco, my right hand. I swear to God, I'd fall apart if it wasn't for her. She is absolutely amazing. She keeps my membership group hopping. Believe you me, she keeps us all straight, on the straight and narrow. She is amazing. I got a wonderful Thanksgiving card from her, and Renee got a beautiful birthday card. So we both wanted to say thank you very, very much. We're so touched you think of us all the time.
I saw the note.
He saw the note.
It didn't show up on the 6th.
Okay. No, it did not. So that is a great sign because that means that the post is finally moving a little bit. We're still on rotating postal strikes here. So stuff going out, stuff coming in, it has been kind of sporadic, but it's moving at least. It's not just sitting there. So if you've been waiting for an order that left, a month ago, it'll probably show up in the next few days. So that's the good news. I also have to say thank you to Lori Skiffington. She sent me the most adorable sugar skull tea towels. They are so flippin' cute and a wonderful card. So Lori, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. You know, I love my sugar skulls. So they will get used. Believe you me, I'm absolutely thrilled with them. And then, of course, to my friend Sandy Barton. Sandy is just one of the dearest ladies. I get a card from her every once in a while and lovely notes. She's been extremely generous and such a dear friend. And yesterday, I got this fabulous box full of Halloween goodies. She sent me 2 sets of salt and pepper shakers that are absolutely hilarious. And one is a vampire in a coffin.
You should put garlic powder in that one.
Garlic powder in the vampire or in the coffin?
In the vampire.
Okay. Garlic powder in the vampire. Okay. And then of course she sent me a little witch frog and an adorable mummy kitten, as well as some really sweet kitchen goodies with bones and skulls, and I love that stuff. So Sandy, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you.
You had to send a dog card. Yes, you did.
Yes, a dog card, absolutely.
Dog cards.
Now, giveaways for today. I do have some fun stuff for giveaways today. We have a surprise pack. I don't even know what's in them. I have 3 of them to give away today. And, of course, they're going to come along with some Dynasty goodies, some fabulous brushes, and some other treats and whatnot for both Renee and myself. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to take all the names, people who join us in the chat, and hit all the buttons, the subscribe button, the like button, the share, the follow. If you hit all those buttons and say hi in the chat, your name will go on the wheel. And at the end of today's live, we spin the wheel, and 3 of you will win one of those surprise packs. So those are our giveaways for today. Special hello. I got to say hello to Mary Amos. Mwah. Love you, sweetheart. I'm so glad to have you watching. And of course, Kathy McAllister, the tea wife. I love, love, love this woman. She has the most incredible designs. Go and check out the tea wife creations. She is phenomenal. Kathy, I know you're watching because I can see your name on the chat. Pop your website up on the chat. Let everybody know where they can find your fabulous work. And a special hello to Nancy. I get this wrong every time. Nancy McNeil Ficardi. She's an absolutely phenomenal woman, an absolute demon with the RAKs. She was recently at NET in New Hampshire, and I guess there was lots of people that were given some of her little creations. She is absolutely phenomenal. She does hundreds of random act of kindness pins and gives them away. She is absolutely a demon on wheels, that woman. So there's Maylee. Hi, Maylee. How are you, sweetheart? Maylee is one of our youngest watchers. And her and my dear friend Faye watch on the Saturdays. So, sweetheart, nice to see you on there. And Monty Dersham. Hello, doll. And Diane Hendricks. Hello, Diane. And Debbie Buckman Easton. Mary Beth Jackson. Good morning from Red Deer, Alberta. How is the weather in Red Deer? I know it's a little brisk out there. They got snow in Alberta this week. Nasty thing. We're still in fall. And Miss Judy Thacker. Hello, my dear. And who else is in here? Iris Rorwick. Hello. Yes, hi, Maze. Nice ball. We were discussing the ball. I have, since I got up this morning, I have found a ball in every single room in this house. And when I mentioned it to Renee, he informed me that Maze was a prepper. She's ready for anything. Honestly. Hopefully you win today, Judy Thacker. That would be nice.
It would be nice.
That would be nice if Judy won. Judy Thacker has been watching since day one. She's been a member of my membership group. She's been watching the live since day one. And I could probably count on one finger the number of times she's won on the wheel.
And we kind of cheated.
And we kind of cheated to do that. We had given away a bunch of stuff, and we put her name and one other person's on the wheel. And lo and behold, the one other person is the one that won it. It's ridiculous. So she just does not have the luck with the wheel. So fingers crossed, everybody. Miss Judy Thacker could use it, I think. And Bonnie Duncan. We're finally having fall weather in Oklahoma City. You guys have had a long stretch of hot. Wow.
Oklahoma's finally getting fall weather?
Finally.
Oh, jeez.
And Diane McKinsey loves mixed media. Ooh. It was you, Tracy, on the wheel, and I won. That's right, too. Yeah, terrible. Oh, Judy's going to France.
Go see Patrick.
Yes, go see Patrick. Patrick was in Paris last week.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. You know, he says that like he went to McDonald's. Oh, was in Paris last week. Very offhand. Whatever.
Well, if you live in France,
it's probably easier.
Deal. It's like I went to Ottawa.
Yeah, exactly. If you live in Ontario, it's not a stretch.
I went to Toronto.
Oh my goodness, here I go again. Got laughing too hard, had a hot flash. All right, guys, if you are ready to start playing in paint and paint these pretty, pretty poppies, so am I.
Yay.
Choop.
All right, I gotta get this done.
Yes, please, go burn off some energy.
I'm gonna zoom in first here.
Okay. Vicky Osmus, my son-in-law brought a stray dog home. Puppy from work on last Monday. It's been interesting, to say the least.
Awesome.
Yep.
I like rescue stories. Son-in-law brought a stray.
How do we make contributions? I forgot how to do that on Facebook. Oh. Karen, don't send your hot flash my way. Isn't it the dollar sign on there?
I think it's stars.
No.
Or is stars gone now?
She's on YouTube.
But she was asking how do Oh, yeah, it's the little dollar sign.
The little dollar sign. You click on that and do your thing. Puppy is obsessed with the ball. So is Mace, I can promise you.
Yeah, that doesn't go away with age.
No, it does not. So this is the piece that we're going to be doing today. Complex to some of you, but it really isn't. Because we're going to rely on some decoupage, a little bit of paper, and some matte medium. And if you're Canadian and watching, you're going to find this very interesting. Kathy, thank you. Kathy donated $20 to our Puppers Fund. Thank you very much. Sue, I'm right there with you. Oh my stars. Whew. So we're going to start with the background on this piece. This is really fun to do. So I'm going to pop this over here. We'll come back to that finished piece in a bit. So here is my surface. I've got one coat, a very generous one coat of buttermilk on this surface. And I like this color. It has there's a warmth to this. I think white is a little too cool, so I went with the buttermilk. It gives you the look of an old plaster. So this is buttermilk, just a basic Americana. You can use light buttermilk. You can use you could even use watered down banana cream if you want to. You just need a yellowish white. It doesn't need to be a glaring white. So I really like this one. I think that this is a really pretty color for this. So the stencil that I'm using today, it was here, there it is this one. This is M279. This is the brocade stencil. And I'm going to position it there. And I'm going to tape it into place just to secure it so it doesn't move. I'm going to grab a stencil brush and a little bit of asphaltum. Asphaltum is a great color for this. And we're not going to do this so that it's solid. We want this to be a little muted. So a little bit of asphaltum on the stencil brush. Stencil brush is straight up and down and work in a circular fashion. And change directions. Don't forget to change directions. Now, when I start stenciling, let me do that again. When I start stenciling, I don't start it right over top of the image. Start out here in an area on the stencil away from the open areas. And the reason I suggest you do that is so that if you happen to have a glob of paint on your stencil brush, it's not going to go onto this, into those open areas. You'll be leaving it behind on the stencil itself. I've always found that if you do that, then you end up with a much more uniform and boo-boo free piece. Okay. This is a fairly delicate stencil. There are some tiny bits in this one. So every once in a while, you've got to hold it down so that you don't disrupt all those little bits. So I think we're just about done there. So when it's taped down, you can flip it back over and have a look. And that looks pretty good. It's not dark, but it's there. Now I'm going to move my stencil over and up. Just like that. And I'm going to stencil that. I love this stencil. I think it's very elegant. And it's very pretty. It has lots of swirls and lots of movement. So we get nice pattern. There we go. And Linda Gaddy is here. Hello, Linda. Nice to have you with us. And Marlene Dombrowski, welcome. Here's Denise Chavez, my girl Denise. Nice to have you with us, Denise. I know you're here every week, but it's still nice to have you with us. So, I sent a message to my group yesterday. I had a follow-up with my respirologist and my respiratory therapist, and I have vastly improved. So that was good news. I can breathe. That's the good news. I can breathe. So I'm going to drop that stencil down into that bottom corner. I love this look. This brocade stencil is just so pretty. Very rococo in design. Very pretty. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that, but Maze is talking a blue streak up there because he's getting ready to take her out to the park. There we go. Maze cut her foot recently and hasn't been allowed to play as rough as she normally has been allowed to. Here we go. So I've got my stenciling in. I'm going to grab my little sander. Good gravy. One of these days I'm actually going to arrange my painting table so I can get at everything the way I'm supposed to. So I've got my little sander and I'm going to sand this vertically like so. Just in one direction. All we want to do is just wear these a little. It just softens the look of it. There we go. Because we want this to be subtle. Knock it back into the background. And I'm going to take a piece of shop towel and wipe off the dust. There we go. Always amazes me how that little bit of sanding creates so much dust. So we've got our background stenciling done. Isn't that pretty? It's so elegant. Now in the pattern, you have this. I love this. I've tucked a copy of this. I created this into a document so that you're able to print it off. Now I've printed this off on a laser photocopier, laser printer. There's Rosie Singlewitch. Hello, Rosie. So what's for dinner tonight? Actually, we're going really simple tonight. We're having burgers, hot burgers. It's an old recipe. We cook the hamburger patties and then we make an onion gravy, a dark onion gravy, and then it's served on a big chunk of nice toasted bun. So it's tasty. We have it with French fries and vegetables and usually a salad. So going very simple tonight. So this piece is actually from, you've probably seen them advertised on social media. It's called Century. And they have hundreds of thousands of different designs that you can download for all sorts of reasons. I absolutely love them. I did purchase a subscription to their page, and so I have access to everything that they have. It is called Century Library. So go and check them out. You can just, it's centurylibrary.com. You can find it online. They're absolutely phenomenal. So if you're not keen on using this particular one, you can absolutely go on there and download. They have lots of free items that you can download. But I loved the selection they had, so I took out a subscription to their website, so I have access to their entire library. But go and check them out. They are Century Library. Lots of oodles. Another great resource for this type of thing is that my brain does. The graphics fairy. Oh my gosh. My brain's not functioning today. You know, I think I left it upstairs. But we'll go with it nonetheless. So the graphicsfairy.com is also another really great resource for this type of thing. So check both of those out. Century Library is fantastic, and so is the Graphics Fairy. Love both of them. And I have subscriptions to both because I use this stuff all the time. So we've got this in there. This one is already sized for this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this on the diagonal, like so. Now, the piece that I tore off, you set that aside, put it in with the rest, with the container with the rest of your fun mixed media stuff. Don't throw that stuff out because it's good for other uses. Now, I'm going to position this so it goes off the page slightly. But I really like this stamp, of course, because I'm obsessed with round things for some reason. I'm not sure why. And I like the text to come off the bottom. So we're going to use that. So that's my positioning for this. Just so you can see where it's going to be. Just like that. You can tear it off so it fills this space, or you can tear it off so it leaves some open areas. Whichever you decide to do is just fine. Now, we're going to adhere this to the surface using a matte medium. Now, there's different types available. They all do the same thing. They're all really great. So you can use Mod Podge matte. You can use like the Mod Podge from Plaid Enterprises. Mod Podge works beautifully. You can use that as long as it's the matte version. You can use the Decoupage Decoupage, which is personally one of my favorites. And then you can also use the DecoArt Media matte medium. Those all work well. So if you find a matte medium, something that it has to say matte medium, you're going to love working with any of them. They all work really well. Now, if you're Canadian and you have trouble getting any of those things, you really need to go and have a look at this company. This is called Demco en Couleur Inc. They're based in Montreal. Absolutely phenomenal product. This is Canadian made. Love, love, love this stuff. I got a bottle of this a couple of weeks ago. I've really been wanting to try some of the Demco products, and I've been having way too much fun. I really love their matte podge, they call it. And you can buy it right off of their website. Their website is Demco en Couleur. It's all one word. I'm going to, that's no use. Demco, DEMCOENCOULEURS.com. It's a Canadian site. You're going to love this product. I have been a dyed-in-the-wool DecoArt matte medium person. I love their product, and this one, to me, works just as well. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's readily available and a Canadian-made product. So if you're Canadian, don't forget to go check this out because I'm really quite impressed with their products so far. Love it. The other thing you're going to need is a little pish-pish, little spray bottle. What was the second place I mentioned? Oh, the Graphics Fairy, Charmaine. The Graphics Fairy is phenomenal. I've been using their site for years. I have a subscription to them as well because, you know, obsessed. Toronto, of course. No, my darling. Demco is based in Montreal. So you need a spritz bottle. Mine's almost empty. I'll have to refill it. But phenomenal. I loved. Woo. Did Toronto win last night? Please tell me Toronto won last night. Yay! Us Canadians were a little excited about the Jays being in the World Series. Just a little excited. Oh. Hi, Corinna. Yeah, we're more than a little excited about the World Series. We do love our Blue Jays. So we're going to start by putting a generous coat of matte medium on this surface. I needed to get some shop towel here. Now your brush should be damp but not wet when you do this. You don't want to Wow. Yes, it is just ordinary water. I just have a bottle of water on my... Oh, Linda, yeah, they do have... Graphics Fairy has phenomenal graphics. So I'm going to put a generous coat of matte medium. And I do mean generous. Don't be shy with this. But you want to brush it out fairly evenly. You don't want gobs of it under there. So I've got... Now I'm putting it everywhere. Just because, you know, it keeps everything uniform. And then we're going to take our spritzer and we're going to mist both sides of the paper. Ouch! 11-14? That's not a win, that's a trouncing. Of course, I wouldn't want them to have to go to Game 7 and win with a grand slam. That's been done before, so. So your paper should be well moistened. And then you're going to drop it into place, right into the medium. There we go. Don't forget, use your fingers to smooth it out a little bit. Yeah, you're going to get sticky. It's okay. That's why we wash our hands. And then once it's in place, you're going to use the brayer to, roll it out. Now, we are going to see a little bit ooze out when you do this, but it is going to seat your paper into that matte medium. And then you're going to take your shop towel and just wipe away any excess. Just like that. Now you can set this aside to dry, or you can force dry it. Just keep in mind that if you force dry it, you're going to get a little bit of curling because the paper shrinks as it dries. I don't think they're phasing it out, no. But the Decoupage mat is still available. I love that stuff. But, yep. Here we go. You can force dry this very easily. Here, look at that. Now the paper will go back to fully opaque. Close up my matte medium. I love this type of background. It gives so much interest to whatever you're creating. There we go. So it's almost dry, but I'm ready for that next step. Now remember the sander that we had. You can use a nail file as well. I use nail files frequently. They do work exceptionally well. I know I have one here somewhere. So we got a nail file. And you're going to sand down and away from yourself so that it wears the paper off the edge like this. Down and away. Look at the nice clean finish it gives you on the edge. Down and away. Don't saw it back and forth because it'll pull the paper up, but just strictly down and away. And look at that. Nice, clean finished edge all the way around. Look at that. Nice and uniform. So if you're doing anything like this for craft shows or whatnot, keep this one in mind because it does give you a beautiful finish at the edge. Very clean, very professional looking when you do that. So I'm going to finish drying this. I love doing this method because you can't even feel the difference from the paper to the painted surface. It just gives you such a beautiful uniform finish. Here we go. Look at that. And then I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to apply a light coat of the matte medium over that raw edge in particular. Focus on that. You want to seal that down. And a light coat over everything. Nice light. It does not have to be gobs and gobs of it. You're just sealing this up. That's all you're doing. So it's a light touch just to seal that paper, because it is paper. If I didn't seal it well, it would have a tendency to absorb all the liquid of the things we put over top of it. So seal it down really well. I love this for the way it dries. Matte mediums in general dry beautifully. They self-level, and this one is gorgeous. I've been quite impressed with this Demco one. I know for all of us, whether we live in the States or in Canada, it's been very difficult to get products these days. Whether it's problems with in manufacturing materials, raw materials, shipping delays, obviously tariffs and things like that. It's been very difficult to get some of our favorite art supplies. So I'm constantly on the lookout for things that will work in lieu of. Hi, Iris. There was a problem with that file, and I don't know how it happened. But if you have a problem with the download, it has been fixed. Unfortunately, you won't be able to download it, but if you need it, I will absolutely send you the copy of the file. Absolutely. I do have it in a PDF. I don't know how that happened. Let's see. Lori, there's actually, you can do this with an inkjet. Okay? You can do this with inkjet prints, but here's the thing. You have to seal the paper. You have to seal the ink in. So you can take your inkjet print, take it out to the garage, and give it a light coat of matte spray on both sides. Just ordinary matte spray. Just give it a light mist of matte spray on both sides. That will help prevent some of the ink from smearing. Of course, a laser printed one always works. But if you don't have a laser one or don't have access to one, yep, no problem, Iris. I'll be happy to do that. It's frustrating. I have no idea what happened. I've never had that happen before. And it took us a while to figure out what the problem was, but it has been rectified. But I will be happy. If any of you had trouble with that file, just send me an email. I'd be more than happy to send you the original file, the new file. Because the original one we had a problem with it and don't know why. There we go. Yeah, it saved it as an ink file, which is weird. I have no idea. I don't even have software that does that, so I have no idea how I managed to do it. But here we go. So I have, look at this, nice and smooth. You can't even tell where that paper is. If you were to close your eyes, you wouldn't be able to tell where it is. It's phenomenal. Nice seal on that. So now we're ready to really start building this background. And this is where the fun stuff is. Now remember, we have buttermilk. for that background. So we're going to take a little bit of buttermilk. And I'm going to use my fugly brush. My fugly brush is full of matte medium. There we go. So I got my fugly brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of glaze, Jo Sonja, and I'm going to heavily thin some matte medium, some buttermilk. Show ya. So it's heavily thin, very watery. And I'm going to apply a wash of this over the whole surface, over the paper, over the stenciling, horizontally. Remember the first one we did, we sanded it vertically. And now we're going to go horizontally. It's just a gentle wash, heavily thinned buttermilk. And this unifies that background. So when I dry this, now we don't have that harsh contrast with that bright white against that buttermilk. It softens everything, softens the lettering, softens the stenciling. Anna Fleury, hello. Yeah, I don't know what the problem was, but we managed to get that fixed, so. Good heavens, Sandy Fowler. It's getting cool in Tennessee. Here we go. So we want this part really dry. There we go. Look at that. So we have, see how soft, it gets a little muted. Little bit muted, so it's super easy. I love that I can't feel that. Have I ever used vellum to print on? Yes, I have. And it does work, but vellum does weird things when it gets wet. And it is a harder material to control when copy paper is quite easy. So, our next step is this. So our next step, we're going to create this nice rich shadow that goes all the way around the outside. I like it a little richer in the corners. So we're going to use angled shader and some asphaltum. And we're going to float into those corners. Nice soft. And this is where it gets very important to have that paper sealed down so that the color that you put on, if we don't seal that paper, what you get is a really dark exchange of color. And you can't control it because it hits that paper and it stops. So if you've got a good layer to seal that paper down, you don't get that. So, nice, big wide float. It's nice and loose. It's not neat and tidy. Debbie Carlton. Are you in Canada, Debbie? If you are, Country Bear Wood. Création Country Bear is an excellent source for Jo Sonja's fast dry glaze. Country Bear is based in Sherbrooke, or actually is in Ontario now. It used to be in Sherbrooke, Quebec, but now they're based in Ontario. Terrific company. Wonderful to deal with. You can shop in both French and English. It's awesome. And you can call them, or you can set up an account just on their website and shop through their website, or you can call. They're wonderful people to deal with. Carol Vanderpool. Hello, sweetie. You know what? Hello, best teacher ever. You keep saying things. I'll have to butter my ears to get me out the door. I'll get a big head. There we go. So look at that. It's coming up. It's coming up. My angle shader's toe curls into an elf shoe. Yes, Lois Ann, you can take your angled shader, pour a cup of boiling water into a teacup or a bowl, and dip that tip of the brush into that hot water, and then press it flat onto a flat surface. And then let it cool. And if you still have that curve, do it again. But it will straighten out. You can get that little elf shoe curl out of it. 9 times out of 10, it's been sitting in the bottom, or if it's bumped up against something and you get this little toe curl up here. It's very frustrating, but it is easy to get rid of. Hi, Linda. Linda Giesbrecht from Winnipeg. Patrick, hello. Good to see you, Patrick. Patrick is one of the members of my paid membership group here on YouTube, and he was making us all jealous this week. Him and his husband were in Paris, of all places, and for him it was like a weekend jaunt. For us, it would mean, 2 days of travel and, Patrick is wonderful. So there we go. So I've got, actually, I'm rather liking this. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to put a very light wash over top of everything. I like washes. The more layers, the more depth. Aha! You went past the Louvre. You weren't the ones that stole the jewels. Okay, that's good to know. So I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum, heavily thinned, lots of water, lots of glaze, and we're going to apply a wash of this color over everything. Nice light wash. All it does is unify everything. It brings everything into the same tone. There we go. I love this color for this type of thing. This buttermilk is so pretty. So there we go. We've got our background. Nope, just the very tip of the brush. If you're putting it in boiling water, don't put the ferrule in there. If you hit boiling water, get the ferrule into the boiling water, it'll soften the glue that holds the bristles in. So you don't want to do that. So, just the tip. Goodness. After a trip to Paris and a stop at the Louvre, and he's suddenly wealthy. There we go. Now this part is really fun. And you can do this at any time. You can do this towards the end if you like, or you can do it now. I'm using a StazOn stamp pad. I'm using, it's called Timber Brown. And I'm going to rub the edges like so with my stamp pad Look at the nice edge it gives you. Da, da, da. Now, in case I neglected to tell you, you can do this on canvas. You can do this on art panels, like the first one I did is on an art panel, little profile piece. You can do it on a variety of things. I do have these 8x8 mixed media panels. These are just very thin pieces of hardboard, and they're fantastic for this type of thing. Because they're nice and stiff, they're nice and hard, so you get nice clean edges. There we go. So look at that. I love this look. Now you can be aggressive with this and make it wider if you like in places. So you have complete control over how much or how little of this you use. I love using stamp pads to age edges. They just look so fun. And you can make the corners really dark. Look how easy that is. Just rub it into the corner. The flatter the stamp pad is when you're into the corner, the wider that area will get. It's really a fun technique. So I'm going to keep that open, and I'm going to come over here. These are 1/2 inch alphabet stamps, meaning the letters are about 1/2 inch. I'm seriously addicted to stamps and stencils. So I'm going to choose my O, my P, and my Y. And if you have 2 sets, then you can tape them together to make the word Poppy. Or you can do what I do. And I like this kind of haphazard. I really like it when it looks haphazard. So up here, I'm going to put a P and an O, and I try to line them up, but if they're not perfect, that's okay. I didn't quite get enough ink on that one. So if these are not perfectly straight, it's okay. Besides, I think it's kind of fun when they're not. So I'm going to come back in and stamp that O again because I messed it up. There we go. So I got the word Poppy up in the corner. And you can do that as often as you like, wherever you like. I just like it in the upper right-hand corner. That's just my preference. And then I have 2 cancellation stamps. I have a round one, and then I have this funky one that looks like a football. So I'm going to load that up, and I'm just going to randomly place a couple of these. They can be straight, they can be wonky, whatever you want to do. Like that. And then I'm going to change it out and use the other one as well. I also really like it when stamps don't fit perfectly inside a space, that a part of it goes off the surface. It just makes things a little more interesting. There we go. And quite honestly, you can use as many as you want. And the one thing I will say, try not to make them too perfect. They can be upside down, they can be wonky, you can do whatever your heart desires. And you can do as much or as little of it. Now, they don't have to be cancellation stamps. They can be butterflies, they can be whatever it is, a bumblebee, whatever thing really appeals to you. I'm just moderately obsessed with cancellation stamps, so that tends to be where I lean, but again, you are not by any means obligated to do exactly as I've done. So I'm going to put my stamps back in their box. Now, these alphabet stamps, the ones I'm using right now, are available at michaels.com and michaels.ca. These are reflections, and they're very handy. I love having several different sizes of these. I have them itty bitty and in different fonts, and I have upper and lower case as well, but they're very handy to have a set of 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch letters, because you can tuck them in anywhere and you can use them for a variety of things. Very handy to have. And when it comes to stamp pads, I like the timber brown because it's very close to the asphaltum, but black works just as well. So you can use whatever you have on hand. If you have a brown, great. If you don't, you can use all the stamps that you have on hand and the stamping pads you have on hand. They do not have to match exactly with what I've used. I just like this variation. So the idea behind whiting this out and using the brown and whiting out using the buttermilk to soften this is it brings the two of them in line. So it kind of ties the colors together. So it's a super way to create a background. Now, this could be used for virtually anything. You could put flowers, you can use it for Christmas. You can use this type of background for absolutely anything. You are not relegated to just doing florals with it. You can do almost anything on it. It's just a fun way to develop a background, and it's super easy to do. So our next kick is going to be putting our poppies on. So I've got my line drawings already done, and I'm going to position them here, and I'm taping them in place so they don't move. And I'm going to use a dark graphite for mine just because it's going to be difficult to see with all that stuff going on. So I want a pretty clear line drawing. And I'm going to use I'm going to use my red gel pen, and I'm going to trace this poppy. Now, we are not looking for utter realism here, so if your line drawing is imperfect, that's okay. So this is a lot of squiggly lines and curves, ripples, and whatnot. So don't beat yourself up if it's not perfect. And quite honestly, it's more interesting if it's not. There we are. Look at that. And then we've got that middle in there with all of these little bits. I don't bother putting all those little dip dots in because we're going to freehand those in a little later on. And then we're just going to quickly trace this. Don't knock yourself out trying to get it perfect. Honestly, you're going to frustrate yourself unnecessarily. Here we go. And they're poppies. This technique, I've been doing this for years, this faux cloisonné. One of the first pieces I ever did was a purse. What do you mean we lost video? Can you still hear me? Hang tight, guys. I don't know where Renee is. We'll find him. Here we go. Oh, I'm back now? Oh, good. Wow, what happened there? I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly finish this part off. So the faux cloisonné, I'm going to show you. We no longer have those clear mediums that we had, but I do have a couple of alternative methods for getting this effect, which I know we're probably off when I showed you this. Oh, no. There we go. Yes, back. Okay. Wow. So you see this glossy look? It feels like enamel. So we're using a medium to get that shine. And then I'm going to show you a fun little technique in here. But that's what gives it that slick look. So we have that contrast between that, that really shiny surface and that matte background. So it's going to be this is a fun technique. Create some really interesting looks. So I'm going to quickly check. Oh, goodness. What did I miss? Here we go. Okay. Wow. There we are. So quickly trace these leaves and stems. Don't forget those stems. Just like that. And I'll quickly check to make sure I have everything. There. Da 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 da. I just have to make sure that I've got all of my lines in here, because if I'm missing anything, it's going to be difficult to put it back in. Okay, so I have my line drawing in. And this part is super easy because we're not looking to get a really perfect looking poppy. It actually just happens as we're doing this. We're using a method where we're allowing, I don't know if you can see it on camera, we're allowing some of that background to show through. If you could see this, I know it's not showing up on camera that well, but I'm sitting here and I can still see, just vaguely see the pattern. So it gives the leaves a very translucent effect. Not transparent, but translucent. So it is quite a pretty technique, and you can do such fun things with it. So that's one of the things we're going to tackle today. And I just saw a boo-boo because I missed one. There we go. Good gravy, Marie. So the color we're going to use today is called Scarlet. It is a beautiful red. It leans more towards the orange tones. Am I gone again? Okay. YouTube. There. Dark screen. Huh. Look, good heavens. Okay, and I don't know, because we're not losing it here. Usually if we lose the feed altogether, it's gone on the camera. But it's not. Okay, so we're going with a little bit of... See, Rage Against the Machine. We know it's a computer they're pissed at, so... So a little bit of Scarlet. Love this color. I thin it out a little bit. And this is fun because we can just literally fill everything. Right over those lines. Look at this. But when I'm applying it, I'm just going to skip over that little piece in the center. So you can fill the whole thing. You don't have to be super careful because this color is transparent enough that you can see your graphite right through it. And that's exactly what we want. We want translucent. Great color. Scarlet is such a pretty red. Look at that. So this works up fast because you don't have to spend too much time trying to get those perfect, neat and tidy areas. And the color is translucent, so I can see my graphite lines right through it. It makes this so much simpler. And I'm going to do this one down here. Great color. It's a great color. Not quite an orange. It's a very warm red. I know this color well because my husband, one of my husband's uniforms is Scarlet's. He was a dragoon, Royal Canadian Dragoon, and his uniform is his dress Scarlet's, I should say. Deep breath. We lost video twice and it keeps coming back. We lose sound and it keeps coming back. But yet I look at the camera and nothing. Ours has been fine.
There is a notification here. So,
Is it just...
take a peek. An hour ago. No. That's the only notification was that you unmuted your microphone.
Okay, and that was a while ago.
Yeah.
No, it's it must be on the other end because usually if we lose the signal, the camera goes dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it hasn't. So
Yeah.
Here we go.
Everything says healthy.
Alrighty.
On our end, anyway.
Maylee wants to know how many husbands I have. I have one.
Oh, okay. So 10 minutes ago you had a stream disconnect.
Okay.
That could be internet issue. And about 5 minutes ago you had a stream disconnect.
Yep.
Reestablished.
Okay.
You're all good.
Yep.
We'll keep that open. Right here.
Oh, one of your husband's uniforms or one of your husbands has a uniform? One of my husband's uniforms. You better have one, Charles. Yes. I only have one. One is plenty. Thank you. Mine is off playing darts today. Okay.
One of your husband's uniforms or one of your husband's...
It was just the way I worded it.
Oh.
So they're having... Yeah, you don't want to, like, have a verbal whoopsie, because...
The light came on.
Ah. Kathy Huff says, hi, Renee.
Hello. I fix things.
Yeah, he fixes things. You said one of my husband's uniform.
You misspoke.
I did misspoke, and Maylee caught it. So there's our poppies.
Come on.
One coat of Scarlet. Look at this. See, I can still see all my lines through it. I might have washed one out, but I can wing it. I might have to put that back in. So I'm going to dry that, and I'm going to grab plantation pine. Definitely one is more than enough. Yep, apparently it was just the wireless. Clicked out and then clicked back on. So we're going to do the same thing to the leaves and the stems, but we're going to use a little bit of plantation pine. Wait and see. Wait and see. There I am. Oh my gosh. Yep. Oh goodness. We're going to play guessing games with the thing. I just got a notification that our stream disconnected. And we think it's... Yes, I'm having a rough day on YouTube too. There I am. Frustrating. Oh my goodness. 3 husbands, 2 times widowed. I'm so sorry. There we go. So I'm going to dry this really well. And then I'm going to use that plantation pine to stroke in the stems on the poppies. The fun part is it doesn't have to be perfect. So just a little stroke in, just so that there's color there. I know that those stems aren't very big, but you do need a little color there. There we are. Look at that. Zoom working. Facebook gone. Oh my gosh. So this is what you should have. Not bad. Super simple. So I'm going to take a little bit of lamp black and a little bit of black green. Where's my lamp black? There it is. So I've got a little bit of lamp black. Good gravy. Yes, the paint is heavily thinned. Water it down. You want that transparency. Yeah, that's the biggest oxymoron. That supposed to save us time too. So I'm going to paint this little piece in the middle of each flower with a little bit of lamp black. I've also thinned that a little bit, so it doesn't have to be fully opaque. So there we go. Oh no. YouTube is nuts today. So is Facebook. There we go. I'm going to dry that. Now, I know this is going to sound really strange, but the color that we're going to shade this with is Twilight. I know it sounds like an odd color combination, but we're using Twilight for this. It's a pretty color. We're using Twilight, and we're also using some Country Red. Oh. So, a little bit of Twilight on the palette. I really like this color. This Twilight is a very deep blue with a touch of purple, and it's quite translucent, so it's a nice color to work with for layers. And then the other color we're going to work with is this, Country Red. I do love my Country Red. I think that's my favorite all-time red. So I'm going to grab a nice little 3/8 angle. I'm using a faux squirrel. And we're going to shade and separate all of those petals with a float of Country Red. And you're going to thin this out quite a bit. You don't want it full strength.
There's nothing I can do about that.
No, I know. It goes, it comes, it goes, it comes. It's, you know, whatever.
It could be a multitude of things.
Yeah.
The wireless deciding to...
I have washboards coming in on Monday or Tuesday. They should be here.
What do you got there? Oh, Tuesday. Never mind.
So we're going to separate all of these petals with a float of Country Red. And this is a fun one. You don't have to work hard to do this because it doesn't have to be neat and tidy, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Look at that. So there's our shading. Super easy. You're not going to be working hard to do this. We don't want perfect. And there's our just separating these petals. That's all we're doing. Easy peasy. And again, we're working with thinned layers of paint so that we can still see all of those cool things underneath. Look at that. So, shading and shading. Isn't that neat that you can still see all of that detail in there? It's awesome. Now, I've missed a little flip over right here. Here we go. And I missed one there too. Here we go. There we are. So that is Poppy number 1. Easy peasy, right? Look at that. So there's Poppy number 1. Don't forget. Come into this one. We're going to separate the back petals from the forward ones with just a nifty little float like so. Super easy way to paint these flowers. Now they do work up quickly. And this is also where you see the benefits to using a matte medium, is that if you manage to get paint comes out over top of your background, you can just wipe it away. You can use a Q-tip or a wet brush and you'll just wipe it away. That matte medium seals the whole surface, so that next layer of color you put on is literally erasable. You can wipe it off if it gets where it shouldn't be. Loads and loads of fun. Nice little float at the bottom and a little one inside. This part is, I call this fast and dirty. You don't have to work hard to do this one. So you can take your time and be meticulous, and that's okay too. Or you can just wing it and get it done. Either way, it's going to work. And a little shading here. There's some nifty little folds in the petals, and don't forget to shade those too. There we go. The nice part about all of this is the simplicity of this. We're not looking for a perfect floated piece. It isn't essential, and it doesn't change anything if your floats aren't, spot on. You don't have to knock yourself out to get this done. So there we go. We've got another poppy. I'm going to get underneath that little flip there. There we go. So fun. And that's just with the country red. So we've got this nice deep color. Oh, yeah. If you don't follow, if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, you can do that on the homepage of my website at tracymoreau.net. If you just scroll down, it'll have a place where you can put your email address and subscribe. There's no fees involved. You'll get a newsletter. I'm not one of those ones that bombards you 3 or 4 times a day. I like to do it like once a week, sometimes twice, but mostly once a week. You'll get an email once a week. It will have links in there to specials. It will have special coupon codes for those that are subscribed. It will have the newest patterns, the newest lives that we're coming up with, and it also features a lot of freebies. So we generally put up a lot of new printable downloads. We'll put up new free downloads and things like that in the newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, just go over to my website on the homepage, scroll down, you'll see where it says subscribe to my website. There's no cost involved. You can just click on that, put your email address in, and hit send. You'll get an email from us. If it doesn't come to your inbox, check your junk file, and then click on the authenticate. There's a button that will pop up telling you to verify that this is the right email and that you want to receive this the emails. That's all it is. Simple as that. And like I said, I don't like bombarding you because I don't like getting those 501 emails every other day from the same place. I like getting my 1 or 2 a week, and I'm happy with that. So now that we've got all of that great country red in there, our poppies are starting to take shape. Just looking pretty good. So we're going to come down to these leaves. And I used plantation pine to put the color in, but now I'm going to use a little bit of black green to shade them. And again, we're going to thin this color out quite a bit. We don't want this one full strength. And we're going to shade down the center vein on the leaves like so. Just like that. We're also going to shade behind the poppy. Just like that. It is not perfect. Perfect is boring. And we're also going to put a little float at the base of the leaf where it joins the stem. Again, keep that color nice and thin. Doesn't have to be fully opaque. We want these colors transparent. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Gives us nice shape to those leaves. Hi, Anne. Nice to have you with us. We've been kind of going in and going out because of for whatever reason, Not sure why. The screen goes black, so just stick it out with us. Just wait. It'll come back. Maybe.
Since you're good.
Yep. Yep.
It looks like every 5 minutes or so you're...
Yeah, we're getting, it's going wonky. I'm not sure why. Yep, went black. Back. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, as long as we keep coming back. Hi, Carrie.
I don't like that.
No, neither do I. So we're going to use a really unusual color for this next bit. We're going to use tea berry. Now, if you don't have tea berry, you can use this. This is Coral Buzz. Either one of these will work just fine for what we're going to do with it. Facebook is still gone. Hi, baby. Yep, that elbow needed licking, did it?
Of course, all the troubleshooting for it requires us to disconnect and restart modems. And
Of course, yeah. Of course it does.
I don't know which end it's on, so
Yeah.
give me 1 second. I think I can.
Renee's going to try. Oh, Tamara's YouTube is still up, but Facebook is still gone. So we've got a little bit of tea berry, and that's going to be our quasi highlight color.
Bear with me.
Yep.
1 second.
Going to use a little bit of tea berry.
Can you go out for a second?
Okay.
Of course, it's not going to come back.
Shoot.
Well, they can still hear you.
Oh, can they?
There's no video right now.
Okay. Fabulous. So they could hear my profanity, but they couldn't see anything.
The video's back.
Okay. So I'm using that little bit of tea berry as my highlight. Like I said, tea berry or Coral Buzz.
Totally heard that.
Sorry. Well, shit. Shoot. I did it again.
You did it again. Well, there goes our PG rating.
Was once.
You're allowed 1.
Am I okay?
But you said it twice.
Shoot.
So now we have a PG-13 rating.
Oh. Oops.
Just don't drop an F-bomb.
Okay. I don't drop those very often. On occasion. Okay, so I'm using that little bit of tea berry or Coral Buzz, either one of them. Yeah, we're having a really hard time staying connected today. I am such a human. Oh, I'm so human. Sometimes I'm a little too human, but that's okay. Take me as you find me. So I really like that little bit of Coral Buzz, right? It's not, yeah, it is lousy reception today, Ramona. So it's not a really brilliant highlight. It's not really bold, but it does just what we need it to do, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to jump over and grab my neon. Now these neons are fabulous. I absolutely love these, but they work best when you've got something with a little opacity underneath them. And so I put a little tea berry or Coral Buzz on there because they're a little more opaque than the rest of the colors. So watch this. I just love this. It's like, gives me this big bazinga. I love it. I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of that neon orange. We've got all these wonderful orangey reds in here. And I'm going to bring that neon in, but watch what happens to this orangey red. it just pops. I absolutely love what that does. It just heats everything up. But you need that little bit of opacity underneath it to really get that zing. So I'm putting a little float of that neon orange right on the outside edges of all the petals. So look at the fire that creates. We get this great color. We military people have colorful language. Oh, yes, we do. So look at how vibrant that little bit of neon makes those poppies. I just love it. And it really doesn't show up all that well on camera, but when you're sitting here painting, you just get that, ooh, look, I love it. You're not belly dancing yet, Debbie. But I'm just glad you're healing up. So I'm going to finish out the highlights. And I like that pop, on, especially on the outer petals, right here. Simply because those are the ones that are creating, that vibrancy. Those are the ones that are picking up the light. So I'm just very quickly popping in that coral buzz or that tea berry. I just love how that looks. And it's even better when you're just trying to do things loosely like that. You don't have to torture yourself to get things the way you want them. I just love this color. I just think it's such a gorgeous tone to use in conjunction with that neon. Even though it's not really a red, it still works just beautifully. And the fact that it's not perfect is even better. But yes, it just gives everything this really nice vibrancy. A little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom of this little flip over here. Doesn't even have to be neat and tidy. And then we've got this big petal over here that has this nice little swish. Look at this. And a nice float there. Look at that. That, I'm going to call it a sloppy float because it really is a sloppy float. It's not a neat and tidy one, but we don't need it to be. So fun. Look at that. So we've got that one, and then I'm going to do a little on this one here. I love the edges of these petals. They've got to be that little bit of pop of color is so important to get that vibrancy that we want for these poppies. They're poppies. They should be hot. Those rich, bright pinks and reds. I love it. Look at that. And then we've got a little bit out at the tips of this one as well. Just a little. Look at that. There we go. So I'll dry it, and then we're going to hit that with that little bit of neon orange. It's just such a great color. We're going to use a little bit of margarita on these leaves, and then we're going to do the same thing with the neon green. So a little bit of neon orange. Love this color. The other thing I love about these neons is that they're glow in the dark. Well, not glow in the dark. They're black light. So you can shine a black light on these, and you're going to get some really interesting effects out of it. But I love having that little, I don't know what it is, that little shot of orange just does wonders for these pieces, and having that little bit of opaque color underneath just helps show it off a little bit. I love the vibrancy. that, that little bit of in your face vibrancy is just awesome. And the next step that we do on these is really going to pop this, because that's when all of our contrast really shows up. Look how easy. I love this neon. So for all of this, look at that. I know, I keep telling you that neat and tidy doesn't count. It really doesn't for this. Look at that. So we've got all of that vibrancy in there. It's the neon orange, Karen, that's the one we're using. So this next step on the poppies, I should not say this next step, but the next step on these poppies is going to really make these flowers stand up and stand out. So I'm going to grab some margarita. Margarita, that lovely green. You do not need much on your palette, just a drop, because we're only using this as a highlight on the leaves. So on those highlighted areas, we're going to pull a little of this margarita. It's a little more opaque than the plantation pine, so we get a much brighter looking highlight on those leaves. And I'm going to bring a little bit out onto the edges as well. And it is, as I say, it's fast and dirty. So look at that. I love it. That little bit. Now we're going to use that neon green to do the leaves. Oh my goodness. Come on, get out of the bottle. There we go. Neon green. I love this neon green. Does the leaves. Everything just pops. Look at that. It's such a fun way to really add a vibrancy to things. And they're so easy to control. So look at our leaves. Super easy. So I'm going to dry this really well. And I'm going to clear my palette, give myself a fresh, clean palette for this next bit. We're going to use Twilight. This is such an unusual color. I've realized very quickly that Twilight, when they put this color out, I realized very quickly that it is very transparent. And it's not a color that I would ever base coat something with. It is quite purpley, quite blue, very transparent, and beautiful. It's just one of those tones. So, Twilight. When you put it on your palette, you can't decide if it's purple or blue. It's just one of those really unique colors. But I will tell you this, it shades reds spectacularly. So I'm going to use my Jo Sonja. See, if you guys are wondering, I put my Jo Sonja Fast Dry Glaze in one of these. It's a little glass bottle, and it has a screw-on lid, so I can use it. And I want this color quite transparent. I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I want this color transparent. So when you brush it out, again, it's like you can't quite decide if it's going to be a purple or a blue. And we're going to come into the center of the flower right here. And we're going to put that first float around the center of that poppy. Just like that. And it's in that lower area of the poppy that we start that shading. So down in the center, darkest value towards the petals. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. So you see how it works very transparent. And this is also where we're really going to see this. Got a little aggressive with it there. This is our shading color for our poppies. And it is very transparent. So make sure you've got a good brush load and blend it out really well. Wherever you put a shadow with that country red, you're going to deepen with that twilight. It is such a pretty and very unexpected color to use to shade red. But you need to thin it out quite a bit. But look at how lush and beautiful that is. So I have thinned it out quite aggressively, but look at how beautiful it shades red. Oh, and by the way, it's not just shading this one that it's good at. It shades all the reds I've played with equally well. So don't be afraid to try some of these colors. I'm always looking for various ways to use these new colors. I think a lot of the time we really think that in order to shade a red, we have to use another red, and that's not necessarily so. I don't always shade reds with reds. What will shade twilight? Dioxazine purple. The other one that shades twilight is soft black, although it's a bit more red, less black, a bit more red. And I have also used navy blue to shade it, and it's gorgeous. You don't necessarily have to use the color you expect to shade other colors. I frequently deviate and go to colors that you wouldn't necessarily think to use. I use, depending on the red, I will use dioxazine purple to shade reds. I use soft black to shade reds. I use navy blue to shade reds, or Prussian blue to shade reds. It depends entirely on the red. And this twilight really shades this gorgeous, gorgeous scarlet really beautifully. I absolutely love how this looks. It just such a lush and beautiful red. And then you shade it with that twilight. Look at that. It lets you get some really, really nice shadows. Because it's such a translucent color, you can really blend it out quite a bit and still be able to shade with it. So I love this. Lets you do a whole bunch of things you didn't think you could. But look at this. It's surprisingly an easy color to control. Quite surprisingly. Which I would not have thought, given what it looks like in the bottle. You know? But it is surprisingly quite an easy color to control. Love it. I love it. Now, for those of you that are wondering, what about all those lines? Don't worry about those. We're going to make those go away in a minute. Here we go. So I went, wherever I put a red shadow, I am going in with a float of heavily thinned Twilight. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous color. I'm not sure I would ever base coat something with it, to be honest, simply because it is very transparent. I think the color itself would be frustratingly transparent. However, for this type of work, it is just beautiful. Like, awesome. So there we go. We've got our poppies shaded. We have our leaves shaded. Isn't that something? So now I'm going to take my beautiful Twilight one more time right here, and I'm really going to deepen the shading around that centerpiece. Right in there. I just want to make it a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take this. This is a little bit of lavender. We don't need much. And I'm going to use my round. And I'm going to put a little series of, if you notice the center of the flower is like a series of little reverse teardrops. I'm just going to stipple a little of that purple around the center. Look at the purple, it really pops with that. How did I learn to paint flowers where you put the highlights? Where I place highlights, where I place shadows is all relevant to where I place my light source. And that's the thing you have to constantly keep in mind. One of my favorite tricks was taught to me years and years and years and years and years ago by one of my very first teachers. And that was, we were given, in our case, we were given a smiling face, like a happy face sticker to place on our canvas. And in this case, I don't do it with tape or anything anymore, but usually just a little mark somewhere on my surface. So in this particular case, my light source is coming from this direction down towards the bottom. So that tells me that all my highlights need to be placed on the upper side, and the shadings will all fall in behind those highlights. So, and underneath. So I know that my light is coming from the upper left, and so my shadows are going to drop from the right. I'm going to have shadows on the right side and the highlights on the left. But this has always been one of the best little tricks I've ever learned, was decide where you're going to place your light source and then put either a mark on your canvas or a sticker, something that you can refer to remind you of where your light source is coming from. And that's always been in the back of my mind, to either go with a little mark, or in my case, I just decided on this upper left corner. When I'm designing, I usually keep things as simple as possible and limit it to one light source. There are, from time to time, you will find paintings where they have multiple light sources. So it could be the light from a window directly behind the painter, so the light source is coming from one direction, but it's straight on. Or the light source can come from, a window on this side and a candle on that side. So you have multiple light sources. So when I'm designing, I usually maintain some simplicity and choose one direction of light. And in this particular case, it's from the upper left. So when I'm putting highlights on the center, everything is going to be highlighted towards the upper left. So that's how. Years and years and practice. Lots and lots of practice. So look at that. We've got all of that shading, all of that highlighting in. We have the center done, almost. We're going to add some tiny little black dip dots in there. So I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black. That's about it. A little bit of lamp black. You're welcome. Glad I could help. Flowers are a favorite subject of mine. I love flowers. Love flowers, love flowers. So I'm using my round brush, and I'm just going to put some tiny dip dots just out from the center a little bit, like so. I got a little carried away on my first one. And just some little black dots, little halo around our center. They don't have to be perfect. They're just little dots. There we go. So, we're going to dry this. Yes, absolutely. Whenever you're painting flowers, you should always work from a reference. Gives you a very static look of where to place highlights and shadows. It also helps you with accuracy when you're painting. So there we go. I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to do something that's going to scare the bejeebers out of some of you. So, I said we were going to use a multitude of products today, and we really are. So, one of the products we're going to be using today is called Poppies Mixion Relief, which is this. If you can see that, it's Poppies Jadeo Mixion Relief. Essentially what this is a dimensional adhesive. So it squeezes out of this little tube that's at the top here. Comes with a nice little point. Now it is sealed on the inside. You can see that. It's got a seal. I'm going to break the seal with the scissors. I'm opening a brand new one so that I can show you how to do this. So just break that metal seal inside and then reattach the point and then remove the black point. And you're going to squeeze from the bottom of the tube until you get this white adhesive comes out. And you're going to hold it like a pencil. And I'm going to start with this big poppy here, and you're going to follow the line drawing with the edges of the petals, like so. Don't forget those little vertical lines that we put in there. Those little vertical lines are actually folds in the petals. So here we go. Look at this. This is such fun. Again, neatness doesn't really count for this part. And this stuff actually comes out of the tube fairly easily. See where we've shaded all of those little bits? The only really important part along here is making sure that those lines connect. You want them to connect. So no little gaps or anything in them. There we go. And then in here in the center, I always like to put just a few little dip dots, like so. So that's what it's going to look like, almost like a kid's coloring book. Don't forget to detail the stem. Just one side, don't want to do both sides. And then we're going to do the leaves. A little bit of practice, you can do this pretty quickly. And then I like to detail the leaves. You know, just put a little vein in. Make sure you work around away from yourself so that you're not putting your hand in your adhesive. The other cool thing is that this stuff dries very quickly, and it also dries crystal clear, so you'll know when it's ready to work because it will dry completely clear. So there we go. I'm going to work all the way around. This is why I said you didn't have to worry about your graphite lines, because you're going to cover them all up with this adhesive. And I forgot to do my leaf. There we go. That one's done. This one's done. This is just a fun way to do this. Now, if you prefer to just have your poppies painted, then you'll skip this part and do the second or third part that we're going to do. I'm going to show you. And honestly, you can leave it as is and it'll be fine. But this part is just, this is the cloisonne. So we need a wall. So that's why we're using a few little dip dots in the center here. Don't forget to do those vein lines. Comme ça. And then we've got a little poppy bud out here. So it does work very well, very easily. So we've got this fabulous outline all the way around. So I'm going to dry this. And it looks pretty wonky at first, but this does dry fairly fast. So, and it dries completely clear. So you can speed dry it, which I want to do because I want to show you this last part using the same adhesive. It's another technique using the stencils. We're going to do a stenciled relief on this side of the poppies using the same stencil that we used for our background. We're going to use this adhesive, and then we're going to lay gold foil into it. Of course, it decides it doesn't want to dry that fast today. But it is starting to dry. Super easy. The neat part about this product is that it stays tacky even when it's dry. If you don't let it dry completely and it still has white spots and whatnot everywhere, you'll end up pulling off more than you put on. So it's a good idea just to leave it alone and let it dry. I just want to get this corner dry enough that I can do this stenciled bit without interfering. Oopsie, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to find my stencil. I know it's here somewhere. Probably buried it. Oh, have mercy. Oh, there it is. So I'm going to position my stencil, but I'm going to trim my stencil a little bit here. There. So I'm going to position my stencil like so. Now, I should have done the stencil first. So I'm going to dry this, but we're going to use this stencil. I will just have to fix it. I'm going to position my stencil like so. And I'm going to use a palette knife. And we're going to put a small amount of this on the palette by taking off the cap. And we don't need much, but the size of a dime is all you really need for this. And you're going to take your palette knife, just like that. See, this is our adhesive, and you're going to apply it right over top of your stencil, like so. Let it fill in the spaces and scrape the stencil to remove any excess, like that. I'm going to put a little more out. Didn't quite put enough, but that's okay. You don't need a lot of it. You want this no thicker than the stencil. Here we go. And then I'm going to carefully, because I've got adhesive, I might have to do that again. There we go. And then you're going to want to clean that stencil right away, because it is going to be sticky if you don't. So I've got essentially a raised relief of that stencil adhesive in the same design as the background, just like that. So I'm going to dry that really well. Oh, I still have adhesive. Okay, I don't have to redo it. The nice part is that it does dry, but of course today it's taking forever to dry, because why would it do anything? Why would we be able to do anything today? But I do love this look. I just, the cloisonne part is just so pretty. So I'm going to have to let this dry, because it's taking longer than it normally does. So let me show you what we're going to do. So this is the area that we used the adhesive on. And then I'm using this. This is Deco foil. It's for fabric and paper, and you can use it for a variety of things. And it comes in, you usually get about 5 sheets in one of these tubes, which is plenty. And then it's going to be very shiny. You can see I've reused these quite a bit. You're welcome, Sherry. This is the shiny side. We want the shiny side up and the dull side down. So you're going to lay your foil onto the adhesive, and just use your fingertips to apply pressure and rub it over top of wherever you've put the adhesive. And then when you pull it back, oh, there's still some sticky spots. What do you know? Look at that. So when you pull it back, it leaves behind the metal foil only on the spot where you've put the adhesive. So you get this great gold, this very pretty gold outline around everything. And it's so elegant. I love that it has that little bit of sparkle. It gives you a gorgeous depiction of the stencil. I love that if there's areas where it's super thin or it dried too much or there wasn't any adhesive at all, you get gaps and wear spots, and it just adds to that elegance. As far as I'm concerned, it makes it so, so pretty. So then you have this wonderful outline of your poppies using that little bit of gold foil. I'm going to show you. This is Duraclear varnish. Now I'm using satin. I didn't have any gloss, or I would have used gloss, but I'm using satin, and I put a squeeze top on it. You know, it's got this little pointed thing. And then I'm going to do it here. I can redo this a number of times. You're just going to squeeze it in to fill up those spaces. It looks kind of milky. You can use gloss or satin. Either one will work just fine. And you essentially fill in the space inside all of that gold, because that adhesive is dimensional. So it sits up a little bit and creates a little wall to prevent the varnish from running all over the place. So I'm just putting a thin layer, just squeezing it in to fill up those spaces. And as I said, gloss or satin will work perfectly. If bubbles form, I just wiggle them around until they break. And it fills that space. So this is what it will look like. It's going to give you that milky look, and it dries perfectly clear, and you end up with this shiny finish in there. And if it's not thick enough for you, you can put more in. Look at that. So it gives you that great contrast, that glossy, slick look against this matte finish, which is a really pretty contrast, and it helps make the flowers really stand out. It's a super easy technique, and it looks really, really great. So I'm looking here. Oh, we're almost there. See, I was thinking if I explain it and then show you. So I'm going to dry this really quick, and then we're going to foil this one. I also like to spatter my background. How about doing a series of these? Oh, sure. These would be so much fun. I love doing faux cloisonne. It is just such a pretty, pretty look, especially when you have this matte background and on a standard size. I've done these ones. These are these thin mounted mountables. These ones can be framed quite easily under a matte frame. I'm just going to quickly dry the rest of this. If you see any white bits, like you can still see some white here, then it's not dry. Yes, silver. What do I use to clean the adhesive off the stencil? The adhesive is solvent based, and so you've got to use a solvent to remove it. I have used rubbing alcohol, and I have used brush cleaner. I've used a variety of things, but even Goo Gone. Goo Gone works like a hot damn. Okay, so our stenciled relief over here in the corner is dry enough. So I'm going to grab, I've got a brand new piece because I think it behooves us, so I can show you how this is done. I'm going to cut this piece in half because this is a big piece to work with. I'm going to cut it in half just to show you that this stuff goes a long way. So I've got that stenciled area right there. I'm going to lay my foil into it, dull side down, that white side down. And I'm using just my fingertips. And I'm not really pressing hard. I'm just rubbing it on. Just a gentle burnish. And then just carefully, don't yank it off of there, but carefully pull it back. And look at that. I love that it's imperfect, that it's not solid. It's lovely. And we've got a few little spots here that are still not quite dry, but gently remove them. And you can come back and do it again. Just press with your fingertip. Look at that. So look at that gorgeous gold on the edges of the flowers. Isn't that pretty? Burnish with your fingertip, and you get that gorgeous gold at the edge. And it does make things really pop. And like I said, if you're impatient like I am, you may get a few spots that are not quite dry, and I can see them. They're not fully transparent. Got little spots that are still quite wet. But you can look at this stencil. There's a few areas that I think need a little extra. There we go. You just burnish it with your fingertips. And I love how this looks. Look how pretty. So when the rest of this is completely dry, you can see that there's still some white drops. I love this look. Now, the really cool part about all of this is that once your gold is on, you can just give it a light spray of matte spray, or you can do it beforehand, either one. Put a coat of matte spray down before you do your gold. It looks so pretty. Now I'm going to show you one more technique before we are done with this piece. I just want to leave that to dry. I've got my Stays On stamp pad right here. Now this is raised. It is like a millimeter above the painted surface. So watch this gold. See how glossy and shiny it is? I'm going to take my stamp pad and just lightly burnish over that, and it creates almost an oil stain look on top of that gold. So it gives the gold a little vintage look. I love how that looks. It just gives it this really pretty warm look. So you can spatter this once it's varnished. Once you've done all of the varnish and the gold, you can spatter it with a little bit of thin dish Phaltum if you like. You can antique this even more if you want to darken the edges. But it's just such a simple and pretty technique. It's elegant. It has nice flash. You could add a dimensional butterfly to this or a dimensional dragonfly that you have used this on. There's so many ways that you could really punch this up. Triple thick would be a bear to squeeze through. I have used triple thick and it is a bear. Can you skip the varnish? Yes, you can, Linda. Absolutely. Oh, you can amp up so many different projects using this technique. The foil just adds a really nice touch to this, but when you're doing that faux cloisonné, I just think that little bit of sparkle on faux cloisonné is just so pretty. Oh, burnish, look at that. So pretty, and it's so easy to do. I'm glad you guys like this. It's just, I love this technique. I think that it really adds a jolt to it. Yeah, well, yeah, off-label is the way I like to do things. I like to see what products can do, not just what they were designed to do. So, super fun. And all of these products, by the way, are available on Amazon. These are also available at Dick Blick. If you shop from Dick Blick, this is an absolutely phenomenal product. It does beautiful work, and you can use it for so much more than just what you think you should use it for. This stuff works great for gold foils. I also wanted to show you something. Renee will be down shortly to get us set up with the wheel. So I want to take the time to show you a couple of really interesting things. This adhesive will work well with traditional metal foils. So it does work with, the silver leaf and the gold foils that you can get from Mona Lisa or Houston Art. You can get that from them. But those deco foils come in a variety of colors, a lot of different colors. I have this one. This is an antique bronze. So it has that warm tone of copper, but that deep brown. And then I have one in black, metallic, that looks like hematite. And then I have this one, which is holographic, which I think is really cool. And these all work. And then we have this beautiful platinum or silver toned one. So there's a huge range of colors that you can get, and they all work with this adhesive. So if you're looking for this, it's Pebeo Jadeo Miction Relief. And you can find this on Dick Blick. That's actually where I buy it, is from Dick Blick. Love this product. It is so awesome. And if you're Canadian, you can actually find this at Dessert. They have this at Omer Dessert. It's a phenomenal product. So there we go. And the fact that this stuff can be used until there's literally nothing but clear paper is just fabulous. What is the, to make the flower shiny, this is what I used. Decowork Duraclear Varnish. This is the satin. You can also use the gloss. Yep, works. How would red foil work on this? Ooh, I think that would be awesome. I think red foil would be so cool. So, there we go. Let Renee find Renee. Oh my goodness. There we go. So yeah, when you do anything with these gold foils, don't throw them out. Even if they look like this, you know, you can almost see through them. Do I varnish this? Before I use the foil, give it a light coat of matte spray. Not really necessary because the background is sealed with that matte medium, so you don't really have to do anything with it. And as far as the flowers go, well, you're going to fill them up with varnish anyway, so it's all good. So all you have to do when you are done with your foil, if you're smart, just roll it back up. They usually come 5 sheets to a package. Just roll up all your little bits together. Zoop. I roll it all up like that and then pat it down till it all fits inside my... Put it back into the tube and you are ready to go for the next project. Fabulous stuff. Super easy to work with. So there we go, our faux cloisonné poppies, and it is wheel time. Price time. So Ray's getting that open. So let me remind you that to get your name on the wheel, all you have to do is join us in the chat. Hit the subscribe button. We really like it when you hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel and the follow button if you're on Facebook. So come and join us. We go live every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. 1 p.m. My brain shut off. We go live every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So join us every Saturday. We've always got a fun project. Next Saturday, we're doing, I'm thinking it's going to be a pretty fall piece. I have been having so much fun designing Christmas that I've got a lot of Christmas projects on the go. So we'll be working on a fall piece for next week. Probably another floral. I really haven't painted a lot of flowers lately, so I'm really kind of obsessed with painting flowers. So, all the names. Oh my goodness. Stars and garters. That's a lot of names. So, you ready to spin?
I am.
So, yeah, I are. So we're going to spin. We've got a surprise pack, plus some other goodies and some Dynasty brushes for 3 winners today. And the first one is Kenny and Eddie? I don't know who Ken Ed is. But Ken and I don't know who that is, but by all means, head over to the website, click on the little speech bubble on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and send us your shipping information and your full name so that we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible.
I put a question mark there.
Oh, it's Eddie. Patrick's Eddie. Oh, my goodness. It's Patrick's Eddie.
Oh, right on.
So he's our Eddie.
Okay.
Congratulations, Eddie. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Patrick, in essence, you've won.
Yeah, I put Pat's Eddie on there.
Pat's Eddie, okay. I know where you live.
Somewhere in France. Here we go.
Awesome. And our second one goes to click, 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 click. George New. Don't forget, send us your shipping information, please. Go to the website, tracymoreau.net. Click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information so we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible.
George New. There we go.
Well, despite all of the issues we had today with it kicking out, kicking back in, we managed to get through it all. And we have one more. Looks like it's Men's Week. Yeah, George and Eddie. Virginia Hedges. Well, it wasn't all boys. Thank you so much for joining us. As you do every Saturday. We love having you here and we love spending time with you. We're going to have a lot of fun over the holidays. We do have the piece for the 12 Days of Christmas live. We have the surfaces. Some of the surfaces are arriving this week. We have the pattern and the kits, and we will have them up on the available on the website this week for order and pre-order. And the kits will include everything, including the shipping. So just like we did last year, so we will be sending them out as quickly as possible. They'll be shipping through Purelator. So we have oodles and oodles of fun stuff coming up. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter on my website. Just scroll down the page, click on the space provided, send us your email address and verify your email. And you'll receive an email address. We'll have coupons. We have fun stuff coming up. So don't forget that. And in the meantime, everybody have a great and safe weekend. Mwah! We love you. Oh, here comes Maze.
Get here, Ray.
Tracy.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Come on. She doesn't want to be seen today.
There she is.
There she is. Oh, she just wants to eat somebody. What are you doing?
Give me kisses.
All right, guys.
tasting.
She's tasting you. Yeah, I think she's just tenderizing you. Bye, Maze. Okay, guys. Have a safe and happy weekend. Mwah. Love ya.
You pet your dog.
George is a girl.
Oh, right on.
Right on.
What are you doing? What is that dog doing?
She's named after her mama. Oh, that's sweet.